Wheaton Academy is a school filled with history, legacies, and stories. When we think of these things, we often look to the past. But what about what's standing right in front of us? This year, biology teacher Mr. Ken Ellis will be celebrating his 40th anniversary of teaching here at WA. He started teaching in 1979 and found himself where God wanted him to be. But teaching wasn't always his plan. When Mr. Ellis was at Taylor University, he found himself in a meeting listening to author Paul Little.
But at the end, he presented a challenge to all of us and said, basically, will you go and do whatever God calls you to do? Will you go and do wherever He calls you to do it?
It was that question that led him to the decision to give up med school and do as God was calling him to.
And I said, okay, I'll do what you want.
He then had to make a choice after he had graduated about what he'd do next. He ended up staying at Taylor another year to take teaching classes.
Probably the third day of student teaching, I got up that morning and realized I was excited to go.
Mr. Ellis applied to work at Wheaton Christian High School and started teaching in 1979.
As I got here, I realized there was a whole lot more to this picture than I had realized.
A whole lot more included eager students in a community centered around Christ.
I met people, particularly families, parents, the students that I had, and realizing that I had a love for them that I had never realized.
His biggest influence from WA was Chuck Strobeck, who was chairman of the board of trustees and eventually his father-in-law.
My perspective, as far as teaching is concerned, is to be a life changer for Christ. I think that was probably the thing I learned my first year being here, and probably through the influence of my father-in-law.
Ellis's main subject, biology, lends itself to questions about what one's beliefs are about the world.
When I look into the world of living things, I see meaning and purpose. I don't see chance. I don't see randomness. I don't see something happening by itself. I see things that are ordered. I see things that could have never come to be without a designer.
Looking back at his career, Mr. Ellis can see that he was called by God to be at WA. But along the way, looking back, a verse of scripture came to his mind. Psalm 119, 105. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. A lamp only shows the next step, and he trusted God and God's plan to go along one step at a time. And 40 years later, he's still following the same path lit by the same lamp.
As I arrived on this 40th anniversary, I couldn't be more blessed.